The Merchant of Venice, Act 2, Scene 3. In this scene, Shylock's servant, Lancelot, is unable to bear with his master's rude behavior and decides to leave. Jessica, Shylock's daughter, feels pretty much the same way. She speaks, "Alack, what heinous sin is it in me to be ashamed to be my father's child. But though I am a daughter to his blood, I am not to his manners." So let's look closely at these manners in which Shylock has treated his servant Lancelot poorly, and how that has affected him. In Act 2, Scene 5, Lancelot tries to help Shylock find his daughter's whereabouts somewhere in the house. But when Lancelot calls out to her, he is reprimanded immediately by Shylock. "Who bids thee call? I do not bid thee call." Lancelot's response is, "Your worship was wont," meaning in the habit of, "to tell me that I could do nothing without bidding." So basically, you're damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Lancelot's efforts are either unappreciated or in neglect. And further insult to injury is how Shylock refers to Lancelot to others as fool and unthrifty knave, meaning Lancelot's cheating Shylock. So Lancelot's occupation also holds a seat of contempt. In the study of selves and interaction, or the self and interaction, the sociologist George Herbert Mead analyzed this in his theory of symbolic interaction. And what this all means is that Lancelot is looking at himself through the eyes of Shylock. Another sociologist added the term, the looking glass self, meaning that the way I have a sense of myself is by seeing how I am being reflected in the eyes of others. So what Lancelot sees in his reflection in the mirror that is Shylock is a very harsh image of himself. A poor worker, someone out to cheat, just a plain nuisance of a human being. Remember, who bids thee call? I do not bid thee call. So basically, Lancelot sees what Shylock sees, and it is a very unflattering image of himself. According to this sociological theory, there is no distinction between what I think, who I am, and what I do. That sense of self, or that filling in that empty box, comes from interactions with others. There is no true self apart from the social self. Interaction, then, is constantly laying stuff on us that becomes us. Lancelot's sense of self has been formed through Shylock's evaluation of him. Shylock then in a way, has power over him to control his sense of self. What is very interesting about this sociological theory of symbolic interaction is that it describes what Jessica speaks in this scene, which is, our house is hell. For when one has control over your sense of self, one has control over your soul, over your being. And this is quite literally what scares them, Lancelot and Jessica, and drives them out of the house, beyond Shylock's influence. And according to this sociological theory, what drives them is to seek out a positive sense of self. And for Jessica and for Shakespeare's world, this is found in her words, I shall end this strife, become a Christian and thy loving wife. She's looking for escape with an elopement. And for Lancelot, it is in his words, the Jew having done me wrong, and doth cause me, as he expresses his will to leave and serve Bassanio, whom he calls one with the grace of God.